Hi everyone, today we have the results of the elections from the Netherlands for the European elections, and there was a pretty amazing result because the Social Democrat Party won the elections, and that was not expected at all. People thought that probably there was going to be or the neoliberals of the VVD, led by Mark Rutte, the Prime Minister, or it would be Forum for Democracy because they both became the biggest party in the provincial elections. Now, that duel that they had before the elections didn't pay off. That was also very unexpected. People thought that they would be the two that would fight to become the major party, the biggest party, and it didn't happen. So that's educational, because mostly this kind of thing works, right? Because it just focuses on who's going to win, and then you have to choose between the two. But it didn't happen. So it's an amazing result, I must say, because also the Social Democrats were almost gone. They were almost wiped out, you might say, and they rose from like a phoenix from the ashes. That's what you could say. And I saw the reaction, and it was like an explosion of cheers and partying. So for them, well done. You have to say that if you want to explain the results of the elections, there are a couple of factors that played a role. I'm going to get into that. But firstly, I'm going to give you all the numbers. The Social Democrats won 18%, 5 seats they won, or maybe even 6. That's not sure yet. Then the Neoliberal Party, led by Mark Rutte, the Prime Minister, the VVD, they won 5 seats. No, 4 seats, and they won 15%. And the Christian Democrats won 12%. They have 4 seats as well. Forum for Democracy 11%. 3 seats, maybe 4. I don't know, and it's not sure yet, but probably 3. Then we have the Green Party, and they have 3 seats. They had 11%. And we have the Social Liberals. They were halved in size. They became they had 6%. Then the party of Geert Wilders, 4%. They lost a lot of seats. They lost 3 seats, probably mostly to Forum for Democracy, because they fish in the same pond. Then the Socialist Party, 4%. They lost 2% as well. Pretty bad. So on the whole, you might say that the pro-European parties, the political center, they stabilized their position. That is, well, it is. I don't think it's very representative for the rest of Europe. But for the Netherlands, you have to understand that the economy is doing very well in the Netherlands, just like in Germany, or even better than the Germans. So that played a big role. And you had, of course, the Timmermans effect. Timmermans, of course, is the vice president of the European Commission. I mean, that's an ace you throw in. He campaigned a lot in the Netherlands and did a good job. The turnout was not very high, and that's probably also in favor of the pro-European parties. The EU critics stayed at home, probably, mostly. If you compare the turnout, it was 41%. And during the elections for the provinces here in the Netherlands 2 months ago, it was about, I think, in between 60 to 70%, I believe. So that's a big difference. Also, you gotta understand that Forum for Democracy, who won the last elections, had the advantage because there was a terrorist attack just beforehand. They are very critical about migration. That played a role, and of course you had this concern with the voters for the new climate law that was coming up then, and people wanted to express their concern about that. because they were probably concerned about the purchasing power of citizens of the Netherlands, which is a problem not only in the Netherlands, by the way, but that was probably one of the reasons as well. So for the rest of the analysis, I have to speculate a bit because it's not really clear. But what I did was I had 2 surveys about the European Union that was held a short while ago by a newspaper in the Netherlands and by the social cultural department for the government. They have their own surveys about social cultural developments in the Netherlands. They had also had this survey, and on the basis of that you can find out what people think about the European Union in the Netherlands. So probably that's going to explain something. Firstly, what came out of the survey was that people wanted that in the Netherlands want more cooperation in the European Union about a couple of subjects: migration, terrorism, climate. Those are a couple of things that people believe that European Union should be the institution to fix. It's very hard to fix things like that as a nation state. But they are very critical about the costs of the European Union. They're critical about, or skeptical about the rules that are stacking up, the bureaucratic, technocratic style of the system of the European Union. So it's a mixed feeling there, and the figures are telling. It said that 35% want more border control, and also in the political center there are a lot of people there who think that's supposed to be there should be more border control by the nation state. So that's a big number, because there's too much migration of refugees and cheap labor from Eastern Europe. That's the idea, and the thought behind is that people believe that this is going to erode the identity of the Netherlands. Culturally and in values. Islam plays a role there, of course. So that has to be said. 20% said that the EU has been bad for the Netherlands. That's 1 in 5. 30 years ago, that was 0%. So there is a rise in criticism and skepticism. I must say that came out of this survey. But 10 years ago it was 30%, and that was during the crisis, of course. So the crisis played a role, and now the crisis is over. People in the Netherlands are more comfortable economically, and probably that has a lot to do with the fact that they didn't vote out the political center. Even though the attacks are coming from the left and from the right, from the Green Party, from the green movements, and from the right, from the conservative, populist or nationalist party as well. But it's rather stable in that sense, even though the political landscape is more scattered than before. So it's much harder to form a coalition, which is of course the same thing with the European Union, because in the polls say that the Social Democrats are going to lose, and the Christian Democrats are going to lose, and they're not gonna have a majority, these two parties anymore. So there's going to have to be a third party involved to get a majority in the European Union. So the Netherlands is not that representative, I think. We are like Germany. We're economically strong. We are a trade nation, so we are depending on the European Union as well. Germany especially, of course. So that plays a big role. So people didn't want to vote. So they have mixed feelings about the European Union, right? It's the internal market, that's fine. But there are some problems that have to be solved, but the European Union should solve it. That's the idea. Some of the people, of course, say, no, we should leave, or we should be reforming this, but this is still kind of a minority. Although the survey shows that in the political middle, there's also more and more need for reform. Yeah, and I would add to that democracy is probably also a factor that plays a role here. 40% turnout is low. It always has been low for the European Union, so there's not much involvement in the European Union. Why? Because they're bureaucratic, because they're far away, because they are a pragmatic project, as Mark Rutte used to say. It's complex. It's difficult to understand what the influence of the citizen exactly is, how it works. I'm gonna get back to on that in another video, probably, because I want to explain how it works. I don't think it's not obvious for the individual that the individual doesn't have a democratic voice, but it's probably more because you could say that the communities, a community like the nation state, which is a community, or the community or all kinds of communities simply are not well represented in the European Union. Because I think there is a struggle now between individualism, liberalism, and this need from people to be part of a community, whether it be a nation state or maybe even a religion or other kinds of community and institutions. This liberal paradigm that has been around for the last 50 years probably, or at least since the 90s, it was very dominant, is being attacked from both sides. I think that especially the idea of neoliberalism, that's actually my assessment of the election results here in the Netherlands. I'm gonna do. There's gonna be more countries that are going to vote. England, of course, has voted. I couldn't find any exit polls actually. Only the polls before the elections I saw. Of course, there you had this. Well, presumably there's going to be a landslide victory for the Brexit party. The Dutch, we really were on the same page with the English probably most of the time in Europe. So we're not really very happy about the fact that they're leaving. But anyway, if you vote to leave, you just have to leave, and that's what I feel about it. So okay, that's the end of this video. I'm going to do a video probably tomorrow, maybe the day after, because there's going to be more voting, more countries are going to vote, well, I'll see you then. Bye bye.